Hi guys, I welcome you to another session on econometrics. What we're going to cover today is dummy variables and its role in regression. We're going to cover primarily chapter 6 of DN Gujarati, Essential of Econometrics. And this particular course is extremely important for your examination point of view, Eco Honors, as well as if you're appearing for BBE. Apart from that, other entrances, this kind of analysis in which one of the variables is a categorical variable. We'll talk about what categorical variables are. So in those cases, these are typified cases in which we have use of dummy variables. Now, even before we begin our analysis on dummy variables, let's recollect that what we have done till now. So we have undergone through two variable regression, then how the normality of UI, with UI we have the assumptions, and we reach to the classical linear regression modeling. Then after that, we whatever hypothesis testing we did, we extended it to three variable cases, and then we understood that how changes in the functional form of the regression can change the interpretation of the slope coefficient, and we understood different kinds of variants of regression equation. Now, till now, the entire analysis that we have done focuses on a y variable, which is a continuous variable, which essentially means that it can take any particular value, any numerical value. And even x variable, the independent variables, were continuous variables. So continuous variable is a variable which can take any particular value. For example, income is a continuous variable, height, weight, all of these are continuous variables. However, in economics also, and in other areas, we at times want to see the effect of a categorical variable. So what are categorical variables? For example, gender. Now, gender, if you're doing an analysis of say SAT scores, that what is the average score that a person is getting. Remember our example of SAT score being regressed on, or SAT score being the dependent variable and the independent variable being family income, and we showed that how increases in family income can be related to higher SAT scores. Now, suppose I also want to find out that what is the impact of gender. Do girls being very rigorous in their study regime, do they score better in certain examinations? For example, invariably, empirically, you can probably test this as well, that in your competitive exams in the English sections, you will English and this LR section, you will probably find girls doing better. However, in mathematical sections, at times we have seen empirically, again, you've seen that the male counterpart may be doing better. So we want to find that kind of analysis. So gender as a variable can take two kinds, male or female, or now we have the third version as well, as is transgenders. So that can happen. Or say suppose we divide the entire country on the basis of four kinds: northern, southern, eastern, and western. So this again becomes a categorical variable. So a categorical variable essentially is which can take only certain values. So it's kind of a stepwise thing, but it can't take any intermediate values. So the gender can at max have three values, either male, female, or others. So in this entire chapter, we want to see that how do we incorporate dummy variables in our regression analysis, and what is going to be the impact and what is going to be the analysis of this. Now let's begin our journey for this. So we initially start what I've already mentioned to you, that we are going to talk about categorical variables, dichotomous variables, binary variables. Again, binary variable is not actually a correct term to say, because binary variables will only take 0 and 1 values, whereas we can have other values as well. Then again, but that again, I'm just telling you that these are certain, binary can be an option, but depends on how you introduce the dummy variable. Now, when you talk about data sciences, so in data sciences, whenever you have this dummy variables being introduced, this is also called as one hot encoding. Please remember this term. You'll probably when you're doing as I've told all of you to go through Coursera and EDX for different courses in machine learning and in regression, you will find that in the world of data science, dummy variables, when you're coding dummy variables, so variables which will either take value of 0 or 1, are is actually called as categorical variables, and then the way to address them is called one-hot encoding. Now, coming to the nature, as I've already discussed, that you have certain quantitative variables. Till now, what we had were quantitative variables. Now you have qualitative variables as well. So the example that I was telling you, that SAT score, and then you want to find out the score for female students as versus the male students. And suppose you want to test the hypothesis whether female students have a higher score or male students have a higher score than female students. So this kind of an analysis can also be done through dummy variables. So again, the reason that they can also be called as binary variables, because these variables will either take a value of 0 or will take a value of 1. Let's hold on to this discussion of 0 versus 1. I'll talk about it more when we'll be discussing our example for this for case study. And as I've already told you that these are variables which will take 0 and 1, and we usually represent this by D. So any numerical continuous variable that we have in regression is being symbolized by X, and any variable which will take a value of 0 or 1 is being characterized in the regression equation as D. So let's take a case of the normal regression line with stochastic version of a normal regression line. So this is the stochastic version of a population regression line. So yi is your dependent variable, and then you have only dummy variable. You basically, suppose this is an example where you want to know the average or the annual expenditure on food. And does the annual expenditure on food differ for males and or for females? So we want to do that analysis. Remember here, there is no, in this example, there is no X variable. We have only treated for a dummy variable or a dichotomous or a dummy variable. We will have cases where we can have multiple dummy variables. We can have cases where we can have dummy variables as well as categorical as well as continuous variables, and we can also have a case where both of them interact. So just hold on for 15-20 or for 15-20 minutes. We will have that analysis as well. So given that we have the same assumptions, especially the assumption of normality of UI and homoscedasticity. So if we have the normal classical linear regression equations, so with that we can find out two basic equations. Now one is the mean food expenditure for males. So what will be the mean food expenditure for males? So see this regression equation. Now this regression equation shows that yi is being dependent on beta 1 plus beta 2 di plus ui. Now di will take the value of 1. So di is basically a dummy variable for gender. Now this gender can take two values. We are taking a binary case. We are not taking the other gender here right now. So it will take a value of 1 when you have considered the cases of female, and it will take the value of 0 when you have male. So in your data, what you should have is that you should have the SATs, you should have the annual expenditure on food, and you should have that you should have the expenditure of males, as well as you should have the expenditure of females. So that is how you want to derive this. So for the mean food expenditure for males, what you need to do is put 0 here, because we have taken the base. Remember, whatever you take di to be 0, whatever you take di to be 0 will be your base category. In this case, our base category is males. Now if you put 0 here, you will get the expectation. Again, the non-stochastic version of regression, what will you have? That you put 0 here, you will get this is equal to beta 1. So beta 1 is going to be the average food expenditure for males. Here, and if you put D is equal to 1, you will get beta 1 plus beta 2 in that regression. So beta 1 plus beta 2 will be the average food expenditure for females. Now see, this beta 2 is an addition. This mean food expenditure for females is beta 1 plus beta 2. Now if I want to say that there is going to be a difference in the average food expenditure of males versus females, there is going to be a significant difference in the average food expenditure of females versus males. Thereby I am saying that this has to be significant. जब तक beta 2 significant नहीं होगा, तब तक आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि मेल्स और फीमेल्स का मीन फूड एक्सपेंडिचर सेम है कि नहीं है. अगर आपने कह दिया कि ये, अगर आपका डेटा के अंदर द वे दैट वी डू आवर नॉर्मल हाइपोथेसिस टेस्टिंग, we will have our null hypothesis as beta 2 is equal to 0, which essentially what does it mean? It means that there is no difference in mean expenditure of females versus males. Only if you reject this null hypothesis and go towards the alternative hypothesis, you can say that B2 is the difference between the average male consumption expenditure of males versus females. So this is the difference. At times, if you want to check whether two regression equations have different intercepts, then we check for this. Now remember, in our model, in the model that we are talking about, we have no, let me just show it to you in a particular way. See, this is the kind of model that we have. There is no slope coefficient. There is nothing called slope. We only have intercepts. So in a sense, we are in that kind of a model whereby we have something for males, the food expenditure, and something for females. Now all we need to see whether males, this is, if this is beta 1, then what is beta 2? This is, and this already is beta 1. So this beta 2 can also be negative, by the way. This can be negative, which means that for females the food expenditure, average food expenditure, is less than males. So this is what we will be checking. We are only checking for intercept. Remember, in this model we haven't taken any x variable. So essentially this B2 is called as differential intercept coefficient, because it tells us by how much is the value of intercept term differ between the two categories. Please remember this, and this is going to be a null. So this is the example that we did this regression, and see, this is the regression equation that we fitted. We have the standard error, we have the t value, but if you see the t value, again please remember, you don't even need to check for this t value. Why? Because I gave you something called a 2t rule. If your t value is greater than 2, then you can say in a pretty confidence in a pretty confident manner that yes, your p value is going to be less. That means the probability of rejecting the null is going to be quite high. But if you're, in this case our t value is minus 1.5, so in this case you can probably imagine that my p value is going to be quite large, and in this case at this particular value your p value is 15%. So at 15%, which is a huge level of significance, which is, remember, p value is also called the actual level of, or the observed level of significance. Suppose we are only testing for allowing for 5% level of significance or 10% level of significance, so we will reject, we will not be able to reject our null hypothesis. In this case, therefore, we will say that beta 2 is actually equal to 0, that means there is no significant difference in the average expenditure of food expenditure of males versus females. This is what also is being. Remember the base category. If you change the base category, your interpretation will change a little. Please make sure whatever to find out the base category, you have to write di is equal to 0. That will be a base category. Please be very careful. I've seen time and again students making mistakes in this aspect, that they've taken some base value base category and then finding out different results. So please be careful regarding taking base values. Another pertinent question that students often ask is, why not take two dummy variables? Why not take d1, like in this case, d1i and d2i, or this should have been d3i. There are a couple of mistakes in this reading. Although I've corrected some of them. So suppose this is the see, it's mentioned here as well. Suppose this is d3i. So I am saying that d2i is for males and d3i is for females. Now the problem here is that either a person will be male or will be female. That essentially means that d2 plus d3 will always be equal to 1, because either this will be 0 or this will be 1, or this will be 1 or this will be 0. So that essentially means, and you have taken both the variables, which essentially means that you have a case of perfect multicollinearity. Remember our assumptions. We can have multicollinearity, but the problem arises when we have perfect multicollinearity. This is also called dummy variable trap. So you can't have them. So that is why we take, if a particular categorical variable takes m values. Suppose let's take a case of the gender. In fact, let's take the case of gender that we were talking about. Gender, suppose, can take all three values. Gender can take male, gender can take female, and gender can take others. If a particular categorical variable can take three values, then at max you will introduce two dummy variables. We will see how we will introduce two dummy variables. So essentially what we will do is that we will have yi is equal to beta 1 plus beta 2 d2i plus beta 3 d3i plus u1. Now remember, again we have to take a base value. Suppose we take that when d2 is equal to 0 and d3 is equal to 0, we will have male. That is your base category, which is b1. When you have d2, say d2 is equal to 1 in case of females and is equal to 0 in case of others. In case of others or male, and d3 is equal to 1 in case of transgender or others, and is equal to 0 in case of male or female. So essentially now you're talking about the case where b1 is, suppose this yi was your average consumption. So beta 1 is your average mean consumption for males. db2 is going to tell you the difference between male and female. Remember, if you want to find out the average for female, it is going to be b1 plus b2. But if you want to find out the difference between male and female, that is b2. And if you want to find out the difference between male and transgender, that is b3. And if you want to find out the mean value, the mean average consumption of transgender, it is b1 plus b3. We're going to go into detail. I just wanted to give you a snapshot of what we are going to do. Now, this is another example. In this example, what we have done is we've divided, we've seen the union membership. So what is the union membership? How many percentage of private sector employees are part of the trade unions? and we are regressing this on whether a particular on different states, depending on the fact we have divided states into two categories: states which have right to work law, and basically which has labor laws, and states which has no labor laws. So we have divided these states into two parts: labor laws, yes; labor laws, no. So we will be saying if a particular state has right to work laws, so if it's yes, we are putting it as 1; if it's no, we are putting it as 0. So essentially what we are saying is that a state in which there is no labor laws, for example, if you've heard that Gujarat, MP and UP have suspended almost all of their labor laws for the next 3 years. Now, in your course, in your 6th semester, I will perhaps, if I take your course, I'll perhaps teach you about the entire conundrum of labor laws, and see that how labor laws can actually be, are restricting the MSME. So there are both sides of argument. So here we are talking about that if there are no labor laws, then less number of people are part of trade unions. So that is the regression that we are trying to do, and we regress this. We found a t-value of -6, t-value of minus. Again, I told you the the 2t rule. According to the 2t rule, this is 60. So which essentially means that the p-value is going to be extremely small. That means this is a significant factor. And what do we say here? That in states, remember how to interpret this regression, that in states which does not have right to work laws, the union membership is just 15%. In states which do not have right to work laws, the average union membership is just 15%. Whereas states which has right to work has a membership of 15.5 minus 7.1. So see this, 15.5 minus 7.1, 8.3%. Because of the fact that we found that the dummy variable was significant. Now, in case we only have a regression where you only have qualitative and quantitative variables. So regression models which have both quantitative, that means which has xi's, and qualitative, which is di's, that the regression analysis is called ANCOVA, analysis of covariance. Why is it called analysis of covariance? Because all these xi variables are called as control variables, or they're also called as covariates. Therefore, it's called an ANCOVA model. And if you have a regression only of dummy variables, which you will rarely find in case of economics, because in economics a lot of your independent variables will be continuous variables. Therefore, this modeling does not actually come in economics. It comes in sociology, psychology, education, market research, all these other fields where you have a lot of categorical variables. Suppose you want to see that how much a person is spending on, how much time a person is spending on Instagram or social networking, or how much money you are spending on due to social networking, depending on the age, depending on the gender, depending on the kind of psychology that you have. So that kind of analysis where you only have categorical variables, that is called as ANOVA modeling. So this was the example. See, this is the case where states do not have right to work, and this is the case of where states have right to work. And see, these are all the entire data, and this is the mean, and this is the entire data, and this is the mean. And these are significantly different from each other. Coming to the next part. See, again, one thing I wanted to show you guys. In your analysis, in your entire course, you only have 6.1, 6.2, and 6.5. However, I will be covering 6.3 and 6.4 a little, so that there is better clarity of things. And time and again I've seen a couple of questions being asked, so I don't want you to be in lurch regarding these. And anyways, this is just an extension of what you're only doing. So in this case, what we have done is that we have introduced a new variable. We have xi here as well. So we have a dummy variable, as well as we have basically here you have a categorical variable which is gender, taking the value of female for 1 and male as 0, and you have a continuous variable which is after tax income, and you are trying to see the expenditure on food. So expenditure on food is being regressed on after tax income of people, and which is also being divided into females and males. So this is the regression line that you fitted on the basis of the data that you have. Now if you see again, can you see the t values? All you need to see is t. I told you when t is greater than 2, you will invariably find that your p values will be small. Here the p value is around 6%. So 6% is basically you'll be rejecting this null hypothesis at 10%, but you will not be able to reject it at 5%. And in this case, your values is 9. So you will 9. So you will basically have a very small p value. Now, if you see, this is exactly the same question. Is exactly the same regression line that we fixed in the first case. However, our coefficients have changed. Also, the t values have changed. So if you were regressing yi only on gender, then you found out that this is not significant. Whereas when you included xi, this became somewhat significant. So how did this happen? It happened because of the fact something of this order we will also understand in our last chapter, which is model misspecification. So what is model misspecification? Here ideally your expenditure on food definitely should be dependent on your income. If you're not taking income as a factor, it basically means that you are taking a huge variable which is a variable of key importance and you're not considering it. And in those cases where a variable should be included and you're not included it, makes a case for model misspecification. Similarly, it might be the case that you might have added a couple of variables which were not actually useful. If you remove them, some of your these statistics might become significant. So if you are adding unnecessary variables to your model, that might also lead to model misspecification. Both adding unnecessary variables and adding lesser variables are cases of model misspecification. And how to actually gauge that what is the case, we will understand in our last chapter in this course. Now, this is the entire discussion that we were having of model misspecification. Now, let us analyze that what is this regression line telling us. So this is the regression line when you put d is equal to 1, and this is the regression line when you put d is equal to 0. Di is equal to 0. Basically, this is the regression line for males and this is for regression line for females. Essentially, this is what we're talking about. So for females, what you will do is that this will be 1506 minus 228, because you will put d as 1, and this will be remaining constant for both the cases. This will be your intercept in case of females, and in case of males your intercept will be 1506 because d will be 0. Can you see this? And the difference between the two is exactly 228. The difference between the two is 228. This difference is 228 because the slope for males and females is the same. Now, so let us interpret this. The interpretation of this is that if you hold the after tax income as constant, if you hold excise as constant, then the mean food expenditure for males is this, and for females is you subtract that amount is this. And because your B2 was significant, remember B2 is significant at 6%, which essentially shows that there is going to be a difference in your intercepts. Now, however, in our case, this xi is same. That means if you keep gender as constant, remember these interpretations that you have to keep one of these things as constant, because if these are again partial coefficients, remember, other things being constant. So if you keep gender as constant, then on an average, if your dollar income, after tax dollar income, increases by $1, then your average food expenditure increases by 6 cents, 5.89 cents. This is the interpretation of the entire model, which is essentially equal to marginal propensity to consume. And diagrammatically, we have this case. However, note the point that we are assuming that gender, whether it's for females or for males, we are assuming that this xi is the same. You might also want to check whether the marginal propensity to consume might be different for males and for females. For males and for females, that might be different. For that, what you need to do is you need to have an interactive dummy. Now, essentially, what you will have is I will go to that as well. Or let's wait for that. What is an interactive dummy? That is also part of your course, and that will also we will also cover through Chow test. Just hold on to this. The question that I was asking you is that could there be a difference in the marginal propensity to consume between the two sexes? That we can say that B3 is going to be, the slope is going to be different for males and for females. That is what we are going to check in the last section of this, when we will have the case of interactive, basically dummy variable into Excel. That is called an interactive dummy. Now, regression based on one quantitative variable and one qualitative variable. So what we have done here is that, again, as I told you, this is person not in your course, but still I wanted to cover this, to consider regressions in which a particular BI can take many values, or particular DI can take many values. So a DI taking 4 values, can take north, can take east, can take west, can take south. So that is the case that I'm going to cover here. Suppose you want to check the acceptance rate. So college, how many students were accepted in universities from different schools, and these different schools were from 3 categories. One category was schools in south. So suppose you want to check how many students were accepted in Gargi College from different schools, whereas schools across India is a dummy variable, because you have divided these schools into three divisions. One, schools from South India, schools from North Central and North East, you have combined these, and schools from West. These are the 3 kinds of schools that you're taking. So again, remember, when you have a particular categorical variable which can take, where you if you just a second, guys, can you see my picture? Yes, you can see my picture. Yeah, so if you have a categorical variable which can take 3 particular values, in that case you will introduce 2 dummy variables. So in this case you will have a D2i and a D3i. You will introduce 2 dummy variables, and you will have a base variable. What will be the base variable? Suppose I say that D2 is equal to 1 if the school is northeast or north central. So this is equal to D2 is equal to 0 if otherwise. That means if the school is not belonging to northeast, north central, then D2 will be equal to 0. D3 equal to 1 if the school is from west and is equal to 0 otherwise, which essentially means when D2 is equal to 0 and D3 is also equal to 0, that essentially means the base category is the south schools. So south is the base category. Always remember this. As soon as you get your dummy variable cases, find out the base category. Base category is when you put all dummy variables is equal to 0. you will find out the base category. Now, given this, now if I want to find out the mean acceptance rate for schools in Northeast and North Central, so all I need to do is put this is equal to 0. Remember, D2 is for Northeast and North Central. So all I need to do is D2i is equal to 1, D3i is equal to 0. I will get B1 plus B2. Here, B1 is the mean acceptance for South and B2 is the difference between, remember this is the difference between South and Northeast, North Central. This is the difference. That is why we call this as differential slope coefficient or differential intercept coefficient. Then again, there is an error in the reading here. For schools in the West, you need to put D2i is equal to 0, D3i will be equal to 1, and you will get this as beta 1 plus beta 3. Here, beta 3 is the difference between the mean scores of West versus the South, and the average is beta 1 plus beta 3. And if you want to find out the mean scores for South, all you need to put is D2 is equal to 0 and D3i is equal to 0. You will get this as B1. There was an error. I hope this understanding is there. Now we had the data, we fitted this regression line, we found this regression line. All you need to see is pick up these p-values. As I told you, these t-values are pretty high, which essentially translates into the fact that the p-values will be small, and we will be able to say that both D2i and D3i are significant at 5% level of significance. This basically shows that, what does this show? Now, that the average, all you need to see is this regression and you say that the average acceptance rate in southern schools is 44%. For schools in the North Central, Northeast, this was representing this. So this will be 44 minus 10, 34. And for schools in, this is the difference between South and West. For schools in West, it will be 44 minus 12, 31%. So this is the analysis. Can you see this? In this case, we have also added the tuition fees, I guess. This is a different example. This is an example. This is an example where you have also added an xi. Remember, here we have also added an xi. So adding an xi, you will have two different slopes. You will have a slope for the coefficients here have changed. So if you have a xi, in this case, let's interpret this equation as well. We have added a covariate. Remember, xi is a covariate. We have added a covariate xi, which is where xi is the tuition fees. So as your tuition fees essentially is increasing, then your acceptance rate perhaps might be decreasing. So we have this analysis. The average score, the average acceptance rate for southern schools is 79%. For schools in North Center and Northeast, this will be around 74%. This is for West. This is correct. The t value is less than 2. The t value here is less than 2, and this is the p value is 6.1 or 6.1, the level of significance. So at 5% level of significance, you will be able to you'll not be able to reject this hypothesis. Again, one thing to remember these stars. If there is a triple star, that essentially, or sorry, if there is a double star, that essentially means that that variable is being accepted at 10% level of significance. If a value has single star, that means that variable is being accepted at 5% level of significance. So here, if you see, this is at 5% you accept this, at 5% you accept this, at 5% you accept this, but at 10% you accept this. So remember this star notations as well. Now, that is being mentioned here as well. Now, so at 5%, you are not going to say, if you're checking for alpha is equal to 5, you're not going to say that D2i is significant. If D2i is not significant, which means that beta 2 is equal to 0, which essentially translates into the fact that there is no difference in the average acceptance rate of south and northeast, north central. This is what we are saying, and that is why this is the regression line for northeast as well as north central as well as south. Both have a common regression line. This, whereas this is significant, the difference is significant. This is representing, this is your B1, and this is your, the difference is your B3, and this is your B1 plus B3, where B3 is negative. So this negative minus A1. So that is the case that I wanted to show you. Regression. Now what we have done is we have added in this part. I'm going to just go through this pretty quickly. What we have done is we have added two different dummy variables. One is for gender, male and female, and other is for race. Here, this particular race can take two particular values. One particular value is non-white, non-Hispanic, basically, which translates into the fact that if I give you this regression equation, what will be your base category? Please check if you can find out the base category. What will be the base category when you put this as 0 and this as 0? Now, always remember to check for the base category. That means the base category is going to be male, and that person is not going to be non-white, not non-Hispanic, which essentially means that that person is going to be white in race and or Hispanic. You have to take the complement of the entire thing. That means that person is going to be white and or Hispanic. This is going to be your base category. See this, white and or Hispanic male. Rest of the interpretation, the t values are pretty large and the values for xi is pretty large. The rest you can interpret on yourself. Now let's talk about interaction. Now this is an interaction. I want you to go through this interaction term. This is of interaction between dummy variables. I want you to sit back and go through this entire discussion. It's a very easy discussion. There was one error. I've already made the correction here. Basically, we are saying, let me explain it. Let me not leave it to you. What we are saying is that in this, when we have two different dummy variables, we are saying that the gender dummy D2 is constant across the races. That means if we find out that the average wage for females is less than males, that average will be less for both. That average will be irrespective of the race, whether that person is from white race or from non-white race. The average for females will always be lower than average for males. So that is the assumption that we are taking. Similarly, if we say that when we consider the differential effect of D3, that is also constant across both the sexes. So we mean, so let's read it through, that if the mean hourly wage is higher for males than for females, it is same whether they are white, non-white or not. Similarly, whether they are not, if we say non-white, non-Hispanic have lower wages than whites, then it will be irrespective of their gender. This is what we are saying. However, this may be untenable. It might be the case that females, in case of Hispanics, might be earning more than females of in case of whites. So that might be a case. So you have to add for that interaction between the dummies. So for that we have this new term, which is D2 into D3, which will give you the difference when you will have the case, when will we have B4? We will have B4 only in the case when D2 is equal to 1 and D3 is equal to 1, which is in the case we are talking about a female from the Hispanic, non-Hispanic, non-white community. That is the difference if we add this. So the differential effect of being a female, non-white, non-Hispanic. And if we see that this is coming out to be pretty significant, not very significant, around significant at 8% level. So please go through this example. Then the last thing that we are going to cover today, is the possibilities of the fact that not only you can have different intercepts, you can have different slopes. Remember our example. The example that we did was for average food expenditure being regressed on after tax family income as well as gender. Now there can be the case that the consumption can be different for males and the consumption can be different. The MPC can be different for males and the MPC can be different for females. So essentially we are saying we can have 4 kinds of cases. We can have, let's see the regression equation first. Let's have the regression. This is our regression equation where DI is equal to 1 in case of females, is equal to 0 in case of male, and XI is the after tax, and this is the interaction between DI and XI. So what is going to be your base category when your DI is equal to 0? So when your DI is equal to 0, all you are left with is the mean food expenditure for males, which is equal to beta 1 plus beta 3 XI. And the mean food expenditure for females is going to be beta 1 plus beta 2, which is this beta 2 is the differential intercept. That means the autonomous level of consumption expenditure, mean consumption expenditure, is going to be different for females by this much, if this is significant. And B4 is the differential in case of MPC, differential slope coefficient. This was differential intercept. This was differential slope. This is also called a slope drifter, which essentially means that by how much the slope will differ from the base category. If in the case, we can have 4 cases. We can have one case in which your B2 is equal to 0 and your B4 is also equal to 0. We can have these cases. So if your B2 is equal to 0 and B4 is equal to 0, that essentially means that the regression for males is the same for regression for females. They are coincident regressions. We can have the case where B2 is not 0, whereas B4 is equal to 0. This was, remember, this was the slope coefficient, this was the MPC. So we are saying that the MPC for males and females is the same, whereas the intercept is a little different. So this difference is your B2. You can have, in this case, you will have parallel regressions. Then we can have concurrent regressions in which your beta 2 will be equal to 0 and beta 4 will not be equal to 0. This is the case where you're saying that the intercept is not going to be different for males and females, whereas the slope is going to be different. So you will have different slope for males and different slope for females. And the fourth case is where you have completely dissimilar regressions in which your beta 2 will also be not equal to 0 and beta 4 will also not be equal to 0. This essentially means that these are 2 separate regression lines, one for males and the other for females. These are the only 4 categories that you can have in case of this. When you do this analysis for a structural change, for example, we have a case, I wanted you to discuss with you a case of saving income relationship in United States. So the example here is your personal savings and being regressed on your regressed on your disposable income as well as the year. So in US from 1970 till 1981 is taken as one era. This is called the pre-depression era. There was a major change in 1982, and this is called the post-depression. In India, for example, let's talk about India. Let's not westernize this. Suppose we have data from 1971 till 1991. This is pre-liberalization, and from 1992 till, say, we are saying 2007. This is post-liberalization. So because in 1991 you have a different set of economic activity. So this is the case that we have. We have a regression. We have a regression whereby, let me show you the regression equation. You have this as your constant. You have a dummy variable. This dummy variable is savings, as this is your personal income, your personal PDI. This is the case where your DI is equal to 0, where DI is basically taking two values. It is taking the value 0 if it's from if the data is from 1970 to 1981, and it's taking value 1 from 82 to 95. This is your value of B1. This is the value of B3. See, these values are the same here, and here. This is the value where you have only the intercept term. This is your B2 DI, and this is the value of D beta 4, which is essentially TI into XI. Now, so we have this regression. Now, if you see the T values here are pretty large, which essentially means that all three probabilities are going to be all betas. See, this does not matter actually, the intercept. So all these three, all beta 2, beta 3, beta 4 are going to be beta 2, beta 3, beta 4 are going to be significant, which essentially means that these two regressions are separate regression equations. These are of the order of something like this, something like this, two different saving equations. So this is what I wanted to explain to you. With this, you don't need to cover the rest of the part. That's not in the part of your syllabus. Still, if you want to go through it, I have mentioned it. And in the end, you will find in the fag end of the readings, you will find my class notes for the entire chapter as well. So with this, I hope your concepts for dummy variables is clear. Please attempt your 10 years regarding with respect to this chapter, and let me know if you have any issues. So I thank you for attending this session. Bye bye.